I'm standing by to transition. Yeah, it sounds like the live was fantastic yesterday. I'm so
Yeah,
excited to catch up on it, man.
yeah, dude, it was good. So, like, some of my favorite key takeaways from it was that Avalanche's supposed dominance of Web3 gaming is all marketing fluff. Um, and they only have one game that really is like pulling its weight. What was that? Shrapnel off the grid. I think
Yeah,
it was shrapnel.
that's
Yeah, yeah.
right.
Other than that, there's like nothing else going on it really in a big way. And it's Ronin and Immutable X that you should really be paying attention to right now. But in the future, both of the game developers, Michael from Andromeda, as well as GC from the Wolves DAO, one of the most exclusive gaming DAOs out there. Alex, I'm sending you another invite. I had to cancel it and send you another one. But they said in the future, keep your eyes on base. They both expect base to be really big Web3 gaming, a really big Web3 gaming environment, which is
Yeah,
interesting because like today, not a whole lot on it. But then again, base is still new. It's only been around for a year.
yeah. I think they're probably right. I expect it too.
Yeah. And then they both really, really dragged Alluvium through the mud. And then they both, very quickly and succinctly took a big dump on DGI games, which is not a
Yeah,
gaming crypto. It's just like a way to stake with a really bad staking business model. Um, and yeah, and Alex, what were some of the big key takeaways you had from last night?
Yeah, that weirdly, and I don't know what it is. I always am reminded of the How I Met Your Mother episode where they talk about knowledge gaps that make no sense, that just kind of exist, and there's just TikTok just has a knowledge gap with all of the Web3 people that just are unaware what is happening in the gaming space. They talk about it as if it's a niche that like might be a thing someday, and that's about it. They clearly don't read anything. I don't think it's Avalanche's marketing problem. I think it's TikTokers' research problem. Because I mean, Avalanche is doing exactly what I would expect them to do. They've
Yeah,
got
exactly. Like if you have money, why not
Yep.
have an effective marketing budget so that you can stay relevant? Polkadot. Polkadot.
So
yeah,
I don't know. My big takeaways were just that there is growing discontent in the entrenched Web3 gaming people about just pumping more tokens out there. There's more and more of a desire to see more and more and more gameplay. They'll all tell you that like we are now getting games. There are tons of things that you can go out and play. We need to inundate the market with options for players and start to narrow down like, okay, inside of the Web3 genre, because regardless of whether or not it should be a genre, since it's tech focused and not necessarily like gameplay focused stuff, we're still going to have to figure out like, okay, well, the people who are here now, what are they into? What's going to like get enough traction from within this ecosystem to get that mass interest? And there's definitely some front runners. Some of the ones that we talked about last night, Wanderers, Off the Grid, and then there was a lot of talk about Pirate Nation, Raven Quest. I'm personally very interested in Eve Frontier, which is not out yet, but there's private playtesting, and so far everyone who's been getting private playtesting they're all under NDA, and the only thing that they're allowed to do so far is say that they have been playtesting. But if you follow the Wolves DAO people on Twitter, you'll hear that's the only place you're really going to hear anything about it.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, Shrapnel, Parallel's crushing it right now. They're everywhere.
And then one other thing that GC, who was the developer from the Wolves DAO, mentioned is we asked him like what gaming projects out there have really good, open, transparent tokenomics. Because like with a lot of gaming projects, you have like super, super high supply and not great tokenomics across the board. It's pretty typical. But then again, like a lot of those projects, they're just trying to make a good game. They don't really care about the crypto piece. They just want to have like an in-game currency that works. But typically don't need it. They could have just like a regular in-game currency that isn't a cryptocurrency, which would make things easier. But he did mention that HXD, which is Honeyland, has a great and super transparent tokenomics, and also their CEO is always out answering questions about why the token is going up and down in value and the things that they're doing that are affecting it. But he also mentioned, I think, oh god, I wrote in Chicken Scratch. I think this is Fableborn, Treeverse, Pirate Nation, Spellborn, and Ravenquest. So some of the ones, Alex, that you already mentioned. But apparently those ones have good tokenomics. So you can go and take a look at those. Again, Ravenquest, Spellborn, Fableborn, Treeverse, and Pirate Nation. You can go take a look at their white papers and see what good tokenomics for a game look like if you guys want to learn.
You can
Well,
also
and of
watch
course,
the
we're going to have the replay up on YouTube, so you can watch the whole conversation sometime this weekend. If you want to see the upload, we'll put it in the Discord. Oh, by the way, Will, there's this cool new feature Alex and I found yesterday. Did you tell him about it?
No,
I
but
forgot
it's
to
amazing.
message you in the chat. In your display, I think it's in the fun box, right where you take the multi-guest or whatever.
Yeah.
It's in the top, in the menu that appears is in the top right corner. It looks like a little clipboard, noteboard.
Notice
And
board?
it's like it pops up another box on the screen that you can fill with text. So sometime in your spare time, start a live just for yourself and create a little text box. I made one yesterday that's got, like, hey, join our Discord. It's free at theriseupmorningshow.com or HTTP, all the links that people can see that we always are giving all the time.
Nice.
And we can just pop it up. It was cool. It was a game changer.
I have a very important message for everybody.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Bunches
no. Let's see what it says.
2024, guys, bunches. Woo! Let's do this.
Hey, man, real quick update on that. A number of people have used Banana Gun really successfully, and I was on a live last night where I heard Joe _ZZZZZ. You've probably seen him around the show. He has used Banana Bot to execute a number of really successful trades, and there was one that he messaged me. He had made like, I don't know, a 10x. Another one was a 12x, just because he was able to get in and out of tokens quicker than if he had done it manually, and had nothing but good things to say about it. He said, so thanks for connecting us with that. So shout out bunches.
Woo! For president.
Way to go.
Oh, yeah. Getting money in the hands of the people. Look at that.
In the
like-
hands of the people.
It's like the opposite of
He's a president
Reaganomics.
with appeal.
Bunchonomics. Yeah, bunchonomics. Let's do it.
Bunch of numbers.
Well, guys,
today, everyone's excited about interest rates, and I feel like
Yeah.
Will, you've
Yeah.
got. We've talked about it a lot, but are you gonna give folks the TLDR? And are there other topics you want to get into before at 8:30? Doug is going to join us, and he's going to request. I was messaging you about it in the chat there, and we're going to get the chance to hear from Doug about his journey as an accidentally totally compliant overnight success Memecoin founder. It's a thrilling tale, and it's a cool look behind the curtain. It's something people see a lot but don't hear as much about, and certainly not, like I say, in a compliant way. So
Yeah.
what do you guys think here? What do you think, Will?
So, Bitcoin right now has had its pump, right? The interest rate cuts came out in U.S. markets while U.S. markets were open. Took a very nervous, anxious approach to it. It kind of waffled around during active trading hours in the traditional financial world, and we saw the ETFs have outflows because of that. Only about $52 million, but still outflows. And then once the rest of the world on the other side of the globe woke up to the news of the U.S. cutting interest rates, we got our pump up to $62,500, and you have altcoins going up, by quite a bit right now, which is cool to see. So from a technical standpoint, Bitcoin's looking good right now, but what we need to see happen from a technical standpoint, and then I'll talk about a few other things, is we need to see the weekly candle close above. Let's see, where are we at right now?
62.2.
I have 63.
63.
No, when I said where we're at now, it was a question to myself that only I knew the answer. And it is we need to stay above the 12 and the 21 week exponential moving average, because when you have a higher low here and you find support on the 55 week exponential moving average, you need to see you get above the next set of exponential moving averages. And these exponential moving averages are sitting at $60,700 roughly. So we need to see Bitcoin's weekly candle close above here and above this line. If that can happen, we can actually have a chance to break out of this channel and see Bitcoin going up to $90,000. That is what the technicals say. Now, the issue that we have is that on the futures chart, we have a gap right here all the way down at $54,000. We filled the gap that exists here, so we can get rid of this. But the Bitcoin price, it wants to come down to $54,000. That's what this gap insinuates.
Gaps get filled.
Gaps get filled. And when we come to the stock market, this is the stock market on the daily time frame. This is the previous all-time high for the stock market set over here back in July. And as you can see, our daily candles have been getting rejected from the stock market, and this does not look good. A long wick up top, bearish momentum down. This looks like the sell the news, and potentially we're worried about the U.S. economy because a 50 basis point reduction maybe spells that the Fed knows that the U.S. economy is in trouble. The other thing, too, is that on the S&P 500, if you zoom in on the hour and the 4-hour chart, these are gaps. These are all gaps that are lower down, all the way down to the 200-day exponential moving average, which would hint at, from where we are today, a potential 8% dip in the stock market. 8% in the stock market,
which is big,
absolutely sends Bitcoin, down to $53,000 at the very least, in my opinion. So what we're keeping our eyes on are those gaps, but then we have to ask ourselves the question, how and why would those gaps be filled? It's going to be two things that we're keeping our eyes on. This is the macro side. One is the next series of jobs reports that we'll get in October, but that's a little ways away. In the near term, it's news that will be released tomorrow, actually at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, PM, right? Basically midnight. The reason why midnight is because it's coming out of Japan. And it's the Bank of Japan. The Bank of Japan's decision on interest rates, if they decide to maintain interest rates, hey, Bitcoin can be saved from this macro event and potentially look to go upwards. If they decide to hike interest rates, it's going to be a replay of what happened on July 31st, and we're going to have a lot of liquidations take place in Japanese markets. A lot. People are going to have to sell U.S. assets to cover those. It might not be as bad as what happened on July 31st because some of this problem already unraveled, right? It's not as big of a problem as it was, but it's still a problem. There's $1.1 trillion invested in Japanese markets that are at risk, according to Reuters and a number of other analysts, for this to unravel and turn into sell-side pressure across global markets, right? $1.1 trillion is a lot of money.
A lot of money.
That's a lot of money. It's a lot of
the presence of that money that is at risk, I would assume, outweighs any price in, because I feel like I've never heard anyone say they're not going to raise rates again. It seems very likely that they would, which means to me that that's already starting to get, that fear is starting to get priced in already, because we've been talking about it for weeks. I mean, ever since the first time, right?
Yeah, well, we've been talking about it, yes. I have only ever seen people online talking about how, well, after the Bank of Japan raised rates, they said they weren't going to do it again. And I went, no, you didn't look at their entire sentence. They said, we are not going to raise rates while the markets are weak. The U.S. stock market is right next to an all-time high. They can look at that and go, hey, markets look pretty strong. We've had a good rally, blah, 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 blah. It's time we can hike rates again. And they're incentivized to do so. And the reason why the Bank of Japan is doing this is to try to save their currency because it's getting inflated a lot. And we're in a different situation. The reason why it could be just as bad as what happened on July 31st, despite it unraveling some. So if the problem is this big, maybe it's this big now, right? Because there were some positions that got liquidated already. So it's a smaller problem, but a larger chunk of it might be forced to unravel, because right now what would be different is, compared to July 31st when the stock market went down and Bitcoin went down by 20%, is you had interest rate cuts. Interest rate cuts weaken your currency. So, and it was a big interest rate cut, 50 basis points. So boom, right? The Bank of Japan increased their rates, which strengthens your currency. So the yen got stronger and the dollar got weaker. If you go look on the DYDX, which is the chart that measures the strength of the US dollar, it fell a lot when interest rate cuts were announced. So now you're in a situation that is exemplifying the problem that caused liquidations in Japanese markets, which is the US dollar falling against the yen. Because the dollar got weaker, and the yen, if they announce interest rate hikes, which they are in a position to do so in my personal opinion, got stronger. Will cause more liquidations in Japanese markets, cause selling across the global assets. And I think that's the reason why Warren Buffett hasn't re-entered the market. You know? That, amongst other things, Warren Buffett's still sitting on all his cash.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of wait and see. Somebody mentioned in the comments, the UK rates remain unchanged. I think in addition to us, people around the world are watching, even if they're not talking about it, what Japan will do. That's a huge amount of money. You said 1.2 trillion?
It's so in total, it's $4 trillion of international foreign money that was brought to Japanese markets because you could borrow money essentially for free in Japan because interest rates were zero. And that happened over about 10 years. Of that 4 trillion, analysts say that 1.1 trillion of it is at risk of completely unraveling if the dollar keeps falling against the yen.
Yeah.
And that it is. That's the problem. So like it's an unfathomably large amount of money, with analysts saying it could be 1.1 trillion. They could be wrong. It could be less. It could be more, because there's still a lot of money above that $1.1 trillion mark.
Right, and this is going to be, you said tomorrow at 11 p.m. is like U.S. time. So this is a lot of stuff happening while our markets are, more or less closed. Are you expecting, I would be expecting that Monday is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, Monday will be interesting because if the Bank of Japan just says they're going to maintain rates, what I think you have happen is I think it's appropriate for markets to just kind of have like a little bit of a breath, at least for Bitcoin, and then throughout the week start to, climb. Like we're in the clear. If Japan maintains rates, we're in the clear unless fears of the U.S. economy weakening, hinted at by this 50 basis point cut, is going to grasp, institutional investors more firmly, right? Really, really big money more firmly to be worried about that. But it does open up the door for us to keep seeing crypto go up. But if Japan announces hikes, you could very easily see Bitcoin lose the footing it has right now at 63,000 and then have a weekly candle close on Sunday below the 12 and the 21 week exponential moving average I showed you, in which case, from a technical analysis standpoint, we still haven't achieved the bullish momentum that we need. And then when markets open up on Monday, the ETFs would get to sell, and that would be bad. So, but we'll see. And the other thing too, we could get the Bank of Japan to announce that they have hikes, and maybe it's a nothing burger, right? Maybe it is. Maybe nothing happens. It's very much so a watch and see. And when I did my own separate live 2 nights ago, I was telling people, because people were asking me like, oh, are you buying back into the market? I go, no, I'm just waiting and seeing what happens after the Bank of Japan makes their announcement to be able to see, hey, is this a problem? And if it is a problem, how big of a problem? But I would say on short-term timeframes, I see Jigme mentioning I'm selling now. On short-term timeframes, one quick little TA lesson, and then I'll get off my soapbox here, is when using and looking at the stochastic RSI, when you have it get into overbought territory, dip out, and come back in, it almost always will sell off completely to oversold territory. it almost never stays up here for very long. After it dips out and dips back in, it typically falls back over, and it does not on the daily time frame kind of keep doing this. It does not repeat this pattern on the daily time frame. It will absolutely sell off. It can do this on monthly time frames where, you know, maybe it stays up here for a while if you're in a really, really, really strong long-term bull run, and like money's being printed and the Fed's injecting cash into the market, you know, but it typically sells off. So we are shaping up. We're in prime position right now to, at the very least, in the most bullish scenario, sell back down to these exponential moving averages and this support. But that's it.
So
that's the little lesson I wanted to leave.
Before you completely exit your soapbox, a couple comments here. So Alan pointing out, of course, that we have options expiration this week as well, which obviously is a thing that does happen regularly. However, according to Alan here, if it crosses 64K, we could see some pretty big positions liquidate. That I know that's a thing that you can check and look, you know, open interest or whatever. And then had another comment scrolling. Analysts don't see a rate change in the Bank of Japan until the year end, which seems to be unanimous. Again, this is according to the comment. I did not look this up. So, I mean, theoretically, right? Even if a rate hike from the Bank of Japan is in the cards and it doesn't happen right now, and we're feeding off of this kind of, you know, little bit of excitement, momentum right now, and that could then be another kind of, you know, snowball roller, at least in the short term, to pop it up again. Plus, especially if someone's big's going to get, you know, liquidated. Because a move to 64 is a hard fart would put us over 64K from where we're sitting right now. So that really doesn't take, you know, too much imagining to see it happening. So, I mean, I guess, because for me, and, you know, take this for a grain of salt, because this is just sort of like, I never do like hardcore analysis where I'm like doing a bunch of data. Like I'm no data, just vibes. There's nothing going on up here. I'm just a monkey with the symbols who's like, you know, feeling it out and see what kind of vibe I get. Lots of social sentiment comes into, you know, the way that I look at it. So like, I'm super unsure at this point, which is why I am like half in, half out of stables, to where, you know, if we crater, I've got plenty of stables to take advantage of something like that in the event of a crater. And I guess the fact that I'm, you know, still sitting like that makes me think, okay, I'm a little bit more inclined to think that we're going to get, what's up, Doug? We're going to get a little bit more downside before we see any serious upside, just because I don't really see a bunch of reasons that, you know, there's too much uncertainty and blah, 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 and all this other kind of crap, whatever. But at the same time, it's crypto and crazy shit happens. And it wouldn't be like if I woke up on Monday morning and Bitcoin was at 70 grand again, I would be pleasantly surprised, but I wouldn't be like, there's no way I could never have seen this coming. You know, like it would just be one of those things because it's just a fucking weird year right now. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not adding anything to the conversation here, just to like kind of double down on the fact that I'm unsure. And that's why I'm, you know, half in, half out of stables, like I said. But there's just so many big factors at play right now.
Yeah, that's the big thing too. It's like I'm unsure, so that's why I'm out right now, and I'll wait until I am sure. And when I am sure, then I'll be back in. You know, that's just the position I'm in.
That was my last point. You mentioned Warren Buffett still being out, so it definitely worth not forgetting that dude, that behemoth. We passed whale territory, right? That absolute megalodon of a man.
Kraken,
absolute megalodon of a man
is sitting on what, $247 billion in cash,
something crazy,
which is absolutely obscene.
Scrooge McDuck in it.
And I really truly hope that he's literally swimming in just a giant Olympic-sized pool of cash. And I'm pretty sure that if you did that, he would still, you know, have just plenty. But that was my question. Let's assume for a second.
I just saw Machi's State's comment. Maybe that's a lot of money to you, Pores.
All right, Machi State, new plan. You are buying me lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time.
Every
she's there.
time. But no, so that's my question. And Doug, perhaps you can segue this into you giving us your take and spiel and perspective right now. If that dude decides to enter anything, even with just a percentage of his previously allocated investment portfolio money, one, if I was Warren Buffett, which is such a silly thing to say because, like, can you even fucking imagine? Like, this is such a vague platitude, but if I was, I feel like I would be tempted to just never buy anything ever again and leave everyone sitting on the edge of their seat like, what's Daddy Buffett going to do? And but imagine he does. And I feel like that in and of itself would just be, at least again, in the short term, just a straight up self-fulfilling prophecy where everyone's like, Buffett's back in fucking full send. And, shit rips, even if it's destined for a dump. I mean, imagine if that dude was swing trading with even a percentage of that bag. It's ludicrous, right? There's no way to do it without moving markets in a massive, massive way. So I was super curious when he exited in a way that size, because it's just like, dude, how do you move that ever again? You're like Satoshi's wallet over here sitting on that pile.
Well, what you just said is key. And I think I don't have a good hypothesis on it, but I would be curious. Is there a time in the past where he did exit this much, not the exact dollar amount, but a significant size? And then what was the next 6-9 months? What did that look like? Or when he made the next, or when we could at least see the next largest investment that he made, did that trigger anything? Like, I don't know how much of his sentiment or the decisions that he makes has a, short-term, long-term ripple. So with that said, though, I think right now, just on the market take overall, I missed Will's segment. We started here. Is that optimistic but cautious? Right now, things look good. Bitcoin above 61K, I like. More consolidation there, the better. At this point, if you are bullish on crypto, I would say dips are for buying, with a little asterisk of, hey, have a plan to make sure that you're aware if there is a larger pullback and this was a fake out, let's call it, or a bull trap, that you have a way to get out, especially with new positions, right? So, but right now, I think really just going to observe the next 48 hours. S&P looks great right now, so is NASDAQ. NASDAQ needs to get above 20,000, but Bitcoin above 61K is great. Don't want to go below 58. And we'll kind of see how things play out next week. But September has always been the worst month historically, not all the time. The history rhymes, always repeat itself.
Yeah. Also.
Yep. It was second half of September, right? Yeah.
September.
So that's in the back of my mind as well, because everyone's thinking, oh, October, like that's just the common, theme. But if everyone's thinking it, does it actually happen? So kind of seeing where this thing plays out, but just take it day by day. And I think this is good. I mean, I'm surprised at how well the market has reacted, all things considered. But yeah.
I can't say I'm too surprised, because before, assuming there ever is a recession, is the recession in the room with us? You always have a melt up beforehand, typically. And it's just so when does that melt up period end? No one knows. But it's interesting. I'm looking at the S&P 500, and I'm looking at it bearishly. Because we haven't gotten a daily candle. We whipped up and made a new all-time high, but we didn't get a daily candle close above the all-time high the past 2 days. So I'm waiting to see that, and I want to see it happen with confidence. And I go, okay, cool. People are on. Maybe we see a big green candle. We go, Buffett. It was Buffett. And I looked, and Buffett has $189 billion in cash.
Insane. Sure, spot on with that too. The weekly close is going to be key too, right? The weekly close tomorrow afternoon is going to be key, where that shows up.
Yeah.
There was one more thing I wanted to say that you just mentioned. Oh, actually, you're the first person that brought it to my attention, which is way back when I first started following you on TikTok, was the relationship of the rate reductions relative to the high index yield spread. I think it was that chart.
Oh yeah.
So I had that. I got to go check it to see, 'cause this is now something where it's like, hey, I want to pay attention to that because we have our first rate cut, right? So now seeing what that looks like over the next 3, 4, 5 months, but also too keeping it aware of that spread can, to me, give us a leading indicator of a possible red flag, right? Not saying it's absolute, but just it's a good perspective. And it's only, I think that's 2 times in the past 30 years that has played out. But we've only had 3 or 4 instances of when it could. So I'm definitely gonna be watching that the next 3 months.
Yep. And then one other thing too about October is one of the reasons why October tends to happen is simply because September is so bad. So if you have a massive September and you've been selling all September, odds are you're going to get some kind of relief rally, right? Because you've been beaten up in September. Luckily, the first half of September for us has been pretty damn solid.
Yeah.
But then once the markets are down, it's easy to get a green October, unless, of course, some macro event gets announced. Is it the Bank of Japan? Maybe. Is it a jobs report that hits us in October? I think there is a jobs report that is in the very beginning of October that we all have our eyes on too. Does that come out bad and send markets down, right? Does that ruin an October, right? So there's still a lot of things to keep our eyes on. And we need to keep our eyes on these things way more than we do in other markets, simply because of our battle with inflation. And we know that has weakened the economy some. Retail sales data is still good. Unemployment is still at a pretty good level. Manufacturing data is still good. But, it does leave the door open for those data points to not be good one day, potentially soon. So we're all paying attention to it way more closely now than in previous bull runs, where it was like, hey, money printer was on, the Fed was adding to their balance sheet, interest rates were basically zero, government was spending money, everyone was having a good time, right? So in those kinds of situations, you can pay attention to these news events far less. They're still important, but yeah, they're just ultra critical right now.
Agreed. Spot on.
Yeah. But Doug,
since we haven't given Doug an official welcome, you want to tell us who you are and what brings you here today and why the hell you're not in the bathroom that people come to know and love and expect?
I'm shifting the bathroom. There's still elements of it over here, right? We're working on this. We're moving away from this because in real life job and crypto, just nonstop, just getting shit for it. So I have to migrate away from it. But actually, I don't know if this is a first. I actually think I have effectively I'm live streaming this through the 99 cents Twitter account. So if you go on there,
how exciting!
Yeah, so I think it works. I'm testing the sound, but I'm pretty sure it's maybe it's funk. I think it's good. I was trying to mess it out earlier, but I didn't know I could do that. So exciting! The morning show is now on Twitter at the same time.
What's the Twitter handle?
99 cents. Now the Twitter handle is 99 cents with some let's see the underscore here. I'll ping it in the chat. Actually, I can't do it in the chat. I'll ping it in the Discord here actually if you want. But yeah, so while I'm doing that, my name's Doug. Crypto, 5 years, professional world. Call me a principal strategist, market intelligence. Done data governance, data management forever. Been crypto for 5 years, and the 4 years of that has been primarily trading, right? So I actually left my job in 2020. I'm like, yo, I'm done with corporate. I'm out. Bull market's awesome. But no one told me that when Elon goes on SNL, you should sell. No one told me that. So I had to pivot back. But during that time, I also needed income. So I had to teach myself to trade, and meaning trade, just reading markets and reading charts. So there you go. You found it. Sweet. So
wait, where did you get that? I'm on 99 cent and I don't see it. Maybe I typed in the wrong. Can you go to the Twitter handle? Por favor. I want to watch myself like a sycophant.
Trendrift is actually the one who's hosting it right now.
Oh, that's right. I'm hosting it. That's right. Oh, okay. So it's going to put you towards that link. Got it. So that's me. Okay.
But Will, you're tagged in the post from 99 cents there.
Oh, that certainly does make it easy.
There's your link.
Sweet.
Got it.
So you were saying, Doug,
we're so handsome.
we got derailed by the beautiful faces.
So I had to learn to trade, and so I'm staring at charts like nonstop, 4 hours a day, and I think I try to add it up like 4,000 hours now, 5,000 hours over the years, and have made every mistake, bought every indicator, and just took me a real long time to figure out like, well, how do I trade? What should I trade? What are my my strengths, the weaknesses? And so during the bear market, I figured out how to trade because I made every wrong decision. And so for me now, like before 99 cents, we'll talk about that in a minute, was preparing for the bull market, right? Because everyone's waiting for it for October. It's like, hey, which is a year ago now, trading in a bear market, I feel if you want to become an effective trader, you have to go through a bull and a bear market. Because a bear market, you kind of learn how to navigate a canoe down a river that has very little water, where you're getting hit by rocks, there's no liquidity. And for me, the first bull run, it was just like, hey, something's moving, I can throw money into it, and it just went up, right? This is very different themes this time.
Yeah.
Where
at least
I had,
once.
yeah, so I had to I wasn't prepared for what liquidity meant when it actually came trading. I'm like, oh, this is like fishing with dynamite. No, that's not the best analogy, but like it was easy to do October through through February. So really that's my backstory overall. Also too, had just a quick other notes. I had a couple businesses, like consulting business. I had a Lego business. I sold Lego for a long time up and down the East Coast at trade shows,
Hold on, Doug. Hold on. As in, like, licensed secondary retail seller, or like for Lego, or
no. I mean, Doug and I already talked about this. He was going to just parks, and he had a trench coat. He just walked up and he was like,
a briefcase full of Lego bricks.
And it was just perfectly organized, like sandwich bags of specific Lego blocks. And then that's how he hustled. That's how he hustled.
Yeah, that's spot on. No, my best friend from high school, had been in it for years and like collected like sets from the 90s and 2000s. And he was like, oh, and I love Lego in the past. There's, wanted to be an engineer a long time ago, but different conversation for a different day. So he's like, you got to come to one of these shows. So I went to one of the shows that was in, I don't know, it was New York somewhere. 10,000 people come through on a weekend, and he's like, yo, look at this. He pulls up a pirate ship from the 90s. He's got the Kmart sticker on the back for $39.99. Puts a price tag on it, $1,700. Sells in like 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, all right, this is the thing. This is interesting. So from there, we started a business, and
quick aside,
what's that,
Doug? On that. I did not know that. It's funny that you're saying this right now, because maybe yesterday or the day before, I saw just a YouTube video or a TikTok, of some guy who was like, it's not fair that my full-time job.
I saw that dude.
Did you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so
I don't like how he's put himself out there. He's basically saying it's not fair. It shouldn't be fair that I can make $200,000 a year selling Lego and only doing that and working 5 hours a year or something like that. I just don't like that ethos putting it out there. But I actually wanted to check out to see his math if he actually could do it based on what he said. I think he bought 500 to 1,000 sets a year, which if you yield a 20% profit, in theory, yes, you could do that if it's done properly.
Wild. I had no idea.
So
I'm sorry, continue.
So like for me, when we did that, like my best friend had thousands of sets, minifigures. So we put in, this is right before Toys R Us went bankrupt, or when it was going bankrupt. So we got lucky there. Just they were liquidation sales. We were buying so much at the time, and then it wasn't a significant dollar amount we went into it, but we started doing shows up and down the East Coast, and like a Raleigh, North Carolina, went there, 20,000 people coming through the center, and you could clean up pretty well, like serious dollars in the 24, 48 hour period. Now it's wild. It's a lot of work, but the part that I liked about it is that the in-person transaction of kids coming to look for a specific minifigure, right? Where it's like, hey, like we still have, by the way, you guys need Lego? Let me know. We have so much stuff to get rid of. We closed the business, but a lot of products still. Like a kid looking for, hey, I want Bellatrix from Harry Potter. $100 minifigure. They came to the show just for that, and having the minifigure that they need was just like, it's gold. Right. So which is why I don't like selling online, because I don't like the whole secondary market, sort of reselling aspect in general, because it kind of doesn't help folks who are trying to get the products. Like, oh, I want to buy that. It's not there anymore because you tools are going to the store and clearing it out. You can't really do that anymore, right? I just don't like that in general. So which is why most of our products we bought were from, finding the bin that was in the garage of your parents or in the attic is where the gold is. Where it's like, oh, you find a pirate flag, it's $50. So Lego market is real, without a doubt. And one day we could talk all about that. I could tell you how to do that. But it's a lot of work.
Well, on that topic, it's funny, and Doug, I know I mentioned this to you, but Evan and Alex, I don't know if you know this, but my roommate of 7 years, who I no longer live with now, he is a top 1% in the world Lego mini collector. Oh, yeah? And he's top 2% in the world for Lego sets. And he's also top 2% in the world for bulk Lego items, like just bulk Legos. He's been able to achieve this in 3 years. The 3 years that we lived at our last place, he just started. And he's like, I like these Legos. $47,000 later, he is now like top 1%. And I'm just like, dude, what is happening here? But also, there was a sick video I saw where like a bunch of people from MIT, I think it was like 2 guys, I say a bunch, but they built a functional Maserati out of Legos. And it's cheaper to buy the Maserati than to buy the Maserati Lego car because of all the Lego pieces.
Yep. it's wild, and it's a whole different world. And by the way, just a note: if you go to a Lego convention and you say Legos plural, you'll get side eyes everywhere. It's not a thing.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, oh yeah, but it makes sense. You gotta say Legos. Like it's anyway. I go
Lego.
back and forth. I just I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, so talk about that a different day, but that was fun. So so closed businesses in 2024 was going to be the hey, I'm done with consulting. I'm done with Lego. Actually, I had a Web3 company. Last bull run too, different conversation too for a different day. That was an S corp. Closed all of these. So like I'm going in with just I'm trader, and I'm doing my making PowerPoints for executives strategy. That's my world. Very peaceful, very it's consistent, which I liked. Right. So come March, I'll say January, February, meme coins are taking off. Was not expecting that. Right. And for me as a trader, became very frustrated because I could make more money and it was easier to trade meme coins than it was trading these larger markets. So I'm like, wait, I just got my ass kicked for 2 years in a bear market, and I want to trade these bigger markets, like your layer ones, layer twos. And it's like, oh, if I just go pay attention to some meme coins and kind of do the beta play, I would call it, where it's like, oh, if A is moving, B is going to move next. Just look for B, right? So this is not the best example, but when there was a short narcotics, let's call it, meta that happened, where it's like, oh, cocaine was pumping. I'm like, I'm gonna go buy Adderall because that's gonna be the next obvious one. Easy 50x. And
The token people.
token.
Yeah, the
sorry,
token.
the
Also,
token.
let's-
Sorry, yes.
Let's
Sorry,
be
TikTok.
careful with those specific names because I've dropped names of those listed items before, and then the live gets penalized.
Oh,
And I'm
no.
just like, ah!
Okay,
Yeah.
that's educational purposes only. We were talking from a academic standpoint. Anyway, okay, so that was happening, right? So the beta play was that, and so
3, 2,
long story.
1.
My bad. Forgot about that. So so anyway, so I'm like, all right, so I got frustrated there. Memes are moving. Hey, let's you can make money there. Great. So it was around March that it was like the company meta, right? Where it was soul chat, soul mail, soul stream, all these random things that were there. And I'm in two groups. I'm in a trading group within Discord and one Telegram group at the time. Just that same thing as I've been in for 2.5 years. And through the Telegram group, like, hey, maybe we could make a coin just for the hell of it. And so I had an idea that was for something on the soul side of the equation for a meme. I'll tell you guys about that a different day because maybe one day it'll come to life. But it was a concept, right? But I wanted to know this when Pump.fun started getting really big. I wanted to know, like, hey, what can I do on Pump.fun? What is the process? Saying it's very easy to understand or to launch a meme. What does that look like? And for me, as someone who has worked in systems and the user experience and really understanding, what, the parameters you can choose in a form, like what does that process look like? So if I was to bring another project to life, I at least know what that experience is. So it is March 29th, Easter weekend, it's Friday. I'm on the couch with my girlfriend. And this is at the time when Costco cost that the hot dog tokens just pumping like crazy. There's like $40-50 million market cap, and their whole narrative was, hey, the price is consistent, it's going to $1.50 because Costco's never raised the price, and it works great with the whole anti-inflation narrative. So I'm going through, I'm testing the Pump.fun, putting in the parameters. You get a token name, token long description, or short description, long description, and you put in capital. That's it. You can't choose the supply. And I'm like, all right, so I'm going to test this thing out. Put in whatever small amount, and I was telling my girlfriend, like, at least maybe I'll try something that maybe could just catch some wind for the hell of it. We'll have no expectations. So, like, what other staple, of consistent prices out there that people could resonate with? And I'm like Arizona fucking iced tea. Like, the price is on the can. Literally, it's on the can. So I typed in Zona as the ticker name. And I was about to hit enter, and I'm like, no, you know what? Let's actually make the token name the price. So 99 cents went in, hit send, shared it to the two groups that I'm in.
And Doug, real quick, did you use the picture of the can as the
Oh no,
face
actually, I'm
on
sorry.
top?
So good question. At the time, you don't choose that. So on Meme Deck, oh no, I did. You're right. I did use it was just the snapshot, which our logo is right now, is just the picture of the can itself. Yeah. And the description was say the price. Like, that was just say the price, exclamation point. That was it. So I sent it to the Telegram group, Discord, closed the laptop, actually went home for Easter dinner, like with my parents for that weekend, right? Fast forward an hour, phone's blowing up. Like, all of a sudden, like, I get, my badge icons on Telegram, like 5, Discord 10 maybe at max. like hundreds. I think Telegram got over 1,000 at one point. And I was like, what's still like, you need to get back there. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it got out. I mean, it got out. It got out of Pump.Fun. It's like out. It's like 300,000 market cap at the time. And I'm at dinner with my parents, and I'm like, I gotta go. And they're like, so what do you mean? I'm like, just trust me. I'm like, if there's any, just this, I can't explain it to you because it's so crazy, but I just gotta go because, yeah, and you'll benefit from this one day. Trust me. So that was the whole thing. Left, came back to my apartment, jumped on, just things moving, because everyone told me, hey, once it got out of Pump.Fund, everyone's going to think it's a scam, right? Because everyone, for the most part, they are. And so it needs like an identity because it goes to Radium. So everyone who doesn't know, Pump.Fund is just an application that's in its own little world that, you know, you create meme coins. And if they get to a large enough amount, they have enough liquidity, it moves off of that and it goes to a decentralized exchange like Radium. Radium is a equivalent of a Uniswap on Ethereum, but Radium's on Solana. And so to do that, once it got there, you still need an identity. So the picture didn't carry over. So even before you were mentioning, there's no picture on it. So they're like, you need to go to Deck Screener. These are random people. So all of a sudden someone, by the best part of this too, people from my Telegram group, they're all starting, someone stood up a Twitter account, Telegram, like just people started doing things, which was like the whole magic of this story. Cool. Was like, it's just like, I didn't even know what was happening. I get back and like all of a sudden there's like 500 people in a Telegram chat. I was like, what just happened? So anyway, they're like, you need to go on Deck Screener. You need to pay $300 and you need to upload an image of, or the logo and a banner because people needs an identity. So imagine this, me on here, I'm shaking by the way, because you have a short period of time to do this because once everyone starts selling, it's over. So I'm on there, I'm handshaking and I'm trying to get downloading the picture, and me being the boomer corporate guy, I'm using PowerPoint to size the actual, the logo needs to be 1 by 1. The logo needs to be 1 by 1 and the banner needs to be 3 by 1. So I'm sizing it and the stupid form is not taking it. It won't upload. I'm just like, please fucking upload. So random guy in my DMs, Tony. I remember Tony. I still haven't talked to Tony. I should get back to him. He's like, I got you. So he sent me the images, popped it, put it in there. And then fast forward 10 hours, 12 hours, the thing pumped to like 17 million bucks. And for me at the time when it moved, I looked at it and it didn't even cross my mind to sell because I was so surreal. By the way, I was so tired too. Like I've been up for at this point for like 6 hours.
Yeah, how many hours before. Is this we're at now?
Yeah, probably 8 hours, like probably in the middle of the night. Like I'd stayed up most of the night that night. And like for me, like I go to bed at the same time, I wake up at the same time. Like I was all messed up. But I just couldn't. So when I looked at the chart and I looked at it, I'm like, there was 10,000, might be a little less. It was like 8,000. There was a significant amount of holders. So I'm like, wow, all the people across the world have bought this thing. Who am I to sell and just rug on all of them? Or not even rug, but say like, so I sold a little bit. Obviously in the blockchain, you could see everything. So at that point, if someone sees me starting to sell, then that's going to be a cascade. So I'm like, I'm not going to sell. So I didn't sell. And the next thing I did, I went into the Telegram and I went on a video, which I don't really regret. I did a video and there was like, a couple hundred people in there, voice chat, video chat. And I started saying like, hey, I'm Doug. I created this thing. And they're like, oh my gosh, they're like, he's a person. He's like, he's real. He's like, he actually could talk. He's not, he has some confidence. Like, oh, bullish. And then that was actually before the move to 17 million. That was, I think, which pushed it up. But at that point, then my face was all over freaking Twitter. Like if you go to our website, 99cents.dev, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there are some original memes there with my face that's like, Rafiki's on top of Pride Rock with holding sort of Simba as my face and the cans in the sky. And there's a whole bunch of things that were there. And just like, I'm like, oh my gosh. And at that point, like I was tired, but so I became a meme itself. I'm like, oh, Pete Davidson's your Valentine's Day date, mine's Doug on the right. I'm like, oh, this is fun. And so that whole thing became a thing. And it was just, that was the euphoric phase of 99 cents. I'll stop talking for a minute so you guys can just digest all that.
Can I just say the first thing that I am immediately a fan of, like if knowing nothing, if I was, doing the thing that sometimes I do, I haven't done it in a minute, but that I do with Evan and the other guys from our team and just like open a Discord VC, crack a beer and like start throwing $20 at shit. And I saw someone who was writing things like community, liquided tea.
There it is.
Like,
that's one of them.
Goodbye.
Oh, man.
That's just, it's brilliant branding. Like
Yeah.
for a meme, it's brilliant branding.
Yeah, it's perfect branding, and it's dipping into like perfect market trends too, with the inflation and then also
Yep.
the Costco dog. Like, what's the other Costco dog? Oh, Arizona Iced Tea. And, like, it's a brand everybody loves too, so like it gets attention. You know,
100%.
it's perfect.
Yeah,
and
and
like
this
the
website-
desert branding there too. It's so good. The art's so good.
So this website too, by the way, at the point I didn't know who created it. This stuff happened so fast. I'm like, oh, someone built a website. I'm like, that's awesome.
That's my
Like,
favorite part of the whole story.
right? And like for
Yeah.
me, I was and I'll be honest, I was a Web3 community skeptic. Not a community skeptic, but the ability for something to be truly kind of organic and spontaneous for folks to unite around a thing as crazy as I can, and actually things start happening. It's like, oh, someone's taking that action. They're doing this. They see a void. Like, oh, I can add that. I can create art. I can create animations. I think any corporation would love to have that type of contribution and the awareness of where my skills fit into a greater good. Right? That's what you're really trying to figure out. And like, so not having to just, sorry, look at that.
I just sipped the dip.
Yeah. Yeah. So right now we're always sipping. So everyone's sipping right now on those lower levels we're at right now. But yeah, so, and like too, during this, and I have to go back and document a lot of the early things. That's one of the things we're working on right now, is capturing the story, like the actual artifacts associated with it, because we're almost on 6 months now since it's launched. I want to make sure I have all of it documented because there's so much good content. Like I think the first, when someone set up a Discord too, which we don't use that much anymore, we will bring that back to life. There was easily 500 memes in there. And like, there's individuals who are just punching things out. I'm like, hey, can someone create a Doug Funny meme from like Nickelodeon with 99 cents? Boom, done. Like, it was there. I'm in the Telegram group. I'm on a chat. I start ranting on just trading and like my history. And I'm like, could someone help me? I've been trying to build an app where I want to be able to do like a rapid fire looking at charts without the token name, as like a gamified screening tool, like a March Madness type thing. Can someone like help find someone to build that for me? Immediately, someone in my DMs like, oh, my boy works at OpenAI. I'll have it built for you next week. I was like, what? Who are you? What is this? So it was like it was the euphoric phase of when like everything I could have ever wanted, like from a business standpoint or just a project, was there. And that's like one of the themes I'm going to carry here, and through this, is that when you start a business or a project, you have to start with like the idea and the product and really get that going, and then bring it to market to get an audience. This was the reverse, where it's like all of a sudden I have an audience, I have a platform, there's a called a brand, there's a presence. So really what the last 5 months has been is a reflection on like, well, what is this? What could it be? And I'm not going to go into where we're going at the moment right now, but it was just it was a lot. So when that all happened, I stopped trading. So now I'm like, hey, I'm embracing the unexpected. And obviously as price started coming back, and if you pull up I don't know, I have a way to do it, but a Solana chart or wherever, it was the last top before the big sell-off in April. So it was always down after that for, most projects. I'm not saying that was my excuse, but at the same time, like, yo, I'm just a guy. I'm a trader. I'm not a dev. I don't know what this I understand meme coins. I've been in crypto, but I had no idea of what was happening, the inner workings of the meme, let's call it the darkness of the memes, of the KOLs, of the
Dark side of the force.
Of the market makers, of all kinds of, and I'm not gonna go down that path, but there were some dark times, like easily 6 weeks of like really, really tough things for me, of basically being attacked. Like, it was like soft FUD, hard FUD, like the AI bots coming in, like devs selling, all like people like attacking me viscerally, like to the point of where I made relationships with people who are very, very smart. I could tell like they've built things, they're there. Hey, I'm here with you. But the second that I didn't do the thing that they were saying, it was all of a sudden I'm going to attack you. And like there are some things I've said, and someone told me, there's someone on our team, by the way, who won an Emmy recently, which is awesome. But he told me way back when, he's like, Doug, you need to document everything, like record everything you're doing, just because one day is like, I want to make a documentary, and more for just not like just as the project for 99 cents, but just a reflection of this is what it looks like from the different end of the spectrum. So I recorded a lot of things, and a lot of them are kind of dark times, which was, like I said, on the Telegram live, I got like guys ripping me apart. He's setting me up. He's very smart. I'm not going to say his name. It was very frustrating. It was saddening in a way, because everyone's just like, hey, if my bags aren't pumping, then you're a horrible dev, right? You don't know what you're doing, and meaning like you're not paying to manipulate price. I'm like, yeah, well, at the same time, I don't want to because I'm doxxed. Previously too, I used to work, at Merrill Lynch way back in the day, and I had my Series 7, so I very much understand the world of, the SEC, and like I'm an easy target if one day down the road, like my face is out there. So I'm not going to manipulate price and do things that are, for my mind, unethical, right? So I kind of took that stance at one point, and that's also too where I got a lot of FUD, a lot of just like, but really trying to embrace what the reflection is. But we passed that phase now. That was a very not a favorable time for me in general.
Doug, can I pause you there and ask you? It sounds like as you started to realize things got more serious, and all this stuff is cascading at every stage of this journey, it was very much out of your control, and you were always kind of playing catch up until that moment when you started to kind of step in, assess how things were going. And my curiosity here, we see a lot of people, especially in the last year, launch meme tokens. We see many of them, someone just mentioned one in the comments, with creators online saying, you need to go buy this. This is going to be life-changing. It's going to do a 10x. It's going to do a million x, whatever. Either aware or unaware that they are breaking many of the laws for, content creators and for people who are launching tokens set by and enforced by agencies like the CFTC, FINRA, the SEC. So I'm curious, how do you navigate becoming an accidental meme coin, founder success with regulatory compliance as it currently stands?
I have a very good answer for that, but it's a long answer, and it's part of the future plan. We could discuss that separately because I actually haven't shared that with anyone yet. And there's three.
Well, I'd like to know how you navigated it so far, and then maybe we can pivot to talking about future plans.
So far, not make any promises, be authentic, talk like I am right now, saying these things that are there. In many aspects of, well, I'm saying the price is on the can. That's a fact. It's a fact. I mean, sure, there's a very good argument can be made. Well, that's, implying something, but at the same time, like, this was unexpected. I had no intentions prior to going into it. I'm just really here for the ride and enjoying it. And my whole, way of looking at this is that, well, hey, can it be something different? Can I position, myself and our community as not the normal meme coin? Can we bring value to the ecosystem? Can we bring utility? And everyone's like, you can't have utility at the meme coin. Well, I'm going to try. Right. So I'll tell you the day that I fail, but right now we're not there. So, going through all, that's a good answer to your question, but just basically being human. That's the best thing I could say. And actually having empathy for holders and folks that are there, and talking about more education piece, building knowledge, understanding what this is, what it's not, and kind of letting that play out is the best path that I have. Otherwise, I don't got anything else.
Do you have legal counsel?
No, I didn't go there yet because the amount of money, the amount of capital has been spent on this project has been significant. Sure. Because also too, it's like, I could have been doing extremely well trading. Like that's so this is my bull market, right? So I'm trying to make, obviously everyone's like, oh, Doug, you've no monetary, incentive, goals. That's sure. Everyone's in crypto to make money. They're lying if they're not. However, for me is that the price and the outcomes of 99 cents is a function of the value that we bring to the ecosystem, right? So that will resolve itself in the end. But yeah, so that's the best I can do, all things considered, given this thing I didn't plan for.
Well, I encourage you, even as well as you're doing, to get a lawyer, just because it will make your life.
I know.
You will sleep so much better.
But the part is too the same. Like we thought about incorporation, things that are there, because that's the other piece too is that this. I'll go back. Good point. When this thing first started, when I got on, so we're going to April, right before the big market sell-off, I was on a space with Murda Murphy. I didn't know who Murda Murphy was. Murda Murphy is a agent, or he's a player with inside the let's call music world, I believe out of Florida, but he's a guy, right? So someone gets him on Twitter Space. I'm in the parking lot of actually, I don't want to dox my girlfriend. I'm in my car. There's like 3,000 people on Twitter Space, trending in multiple countries. This is like right after talking about it. I'm telling the story of 99 cents, just like I'm telling you guys. And this is where I said, hey, I'm like, we're here to make trust the new meta. Right? I want to say, this is what this is what it's not. And if your dev isn't speaking to you like I am, question the validity of the project. I'm not saying it's a scam, but just, look, let's raise the bar to say this is what minimum expectations should be for a meme coin, because go back to 2021 with NFTs, at least then they had to put roadmaps out there. Even if it was BS, they put a roadmap. They said, hey, we're going to do this. There's nothing without memes. I know memes are different, right? And some of the ones that, they're the big memes that your cats and dogs, those are in their own bucket, right? Those are different. But the ones that are not that, it's like, well, what is their place in the future? And I think we're going to find out that a lot of memes are going to have, companies I think are going to want to have memes, because it's a new go-to-market strategy, right? There are elements of culture that are there. So it's been trying to kind of change and make that the narrative, because it is the narrative for us, and keep pushing forward.
Alex and I have a really great story that we'll tell you another time about how we spent 36 hours on a customer service AMA
37.
for a community. 37, sorry. My bad. Who's counting? So I definitely get the pressure of needing to be accountable, which is so often skipped, overlooked, or just not even considered by people in our space. These are companies
100%.
that people are investing their attention and their money in.
Yep.
So good on you, man.
Oh, and thank you. And also too, that's why I was saying the Murder Murphy piece, is that when I went there and said that was the day that we moved, I want to say it was right around there. So I had I think I had 3 wallets to start, whatever it may be. We moved all of those funds, all the tokens, to a multi-sig wallet on Squads. So for those who don't know, multi-sig, multi-signature means that multiple individuals have to be part of the approval process for a transaction to occur. So we had sent over, I didn't have a lot, by the way. I only had, it was a lot, like 10, 15% of the supply at the time, right? That was there, but we sent it all over, like 130 million tokens out of the billion total, sent it over to the treasury, and was saying like, hey, I can't rug you. And because it's no longer in my possession. It's there, and this is my demonstration of trust. And the folks who are part of that multi-sig process are people I didn't know before this project. We had the community who recommended someone that was there, and someone who kind of became an ancillary side of the finance side of the equation from the team, or the folks who are really helping the project itself. That was my demonstration of trust that was here, and trying to kind of say like, this should be the standard. Like, people should be doing this. And yeah, so that was the one move that made early on that helped out, although it was very difficult. And it wasn't Squads, actually. We used a different one at first, which, by the way, I had a scare with the other one that we used. I got a note that like, oh, they're having issues where they're having trouble finding dev. It was like, I bugged out. I freaked out that I'm like, I had to move it from that one treasury to the other, or the vault. But that was a really scary day. But I guess if it did get locked and lost, that's like sort of a good burn. Like, just all of a sudden disappeared. But yeah, that was a big step for us, doing that and communicating that the whole time, on saying, hey, you're going to see. So I know you can see everything in the blockchain community. You're going to see a lot of tokens move from these wallets to the treasury, right? And this is what's happening. We gave them a heads up on what it was, and that was kind of the way of like having this active communication process through this. To me, was that this was a community project from the beginning. It's like, yeah, Doug, you're the dev. Call me a dev, call me whatever you want. I was just the guy who typed in 99 cents into the thing that's there. But now, as we're going through this, and for the first 3 months, was very much listening to every single thing the community said, to kind of have be a collective part of it, because I didn't know what I was doing, right? So now things have shifted a little more, trying to get some more. We're consolidating. We have a plan now. We have a brand. How we're going to go forward. But early on was just saying like, this is a community project, and it is still a community project. And there's going to be a day when ideally I'm not here. Like, I'm here. I'm always going to be here, but I'm not the guy speaking about it. That it is very much spread out enough that I'll still always be a holder forever. Still going to be buying because it just makes sense, because I believe in what can come from it. But it needs to become a community project that lives on its own, right? And that's where for me, fading away, this is way down the road. But wanting to get things that are repeatable, scalable, that can happen without any one or few individuals. That's just something that's just there and exists, which is what we all want in Web3, right?
Yeah. Now, I want to invite everybody to, if you have questions for Doug, leave them in the comments below. Alex, Will, I know you've got questions too, but just as a quick way of context, if you're just joining us, you're scrolling by, I wanted to reintroduce Doug quickly to say he's a friend of the show, fellow content creator. He does a lot of crypto charting and became the accidental founder of a very successful meme token, 99 cents, earlier this year. I heard his story on Tech CEOs Live and said, wow, Doug, this is a thrilling tale. You've got to come on and tell our audience, especially in a season where so many people are breaking so many laws with their meme coins. This is a cool brand, a cool opportunity to tell a better story. I personally would like to hear more about the mascot that you've created, your chance to meet the Arizona Tea founder, your other plans for the future. But I want to defer to our friends in the chat and defer to Alex and Will, because you've had a chance to share a lot with us, and I'm sure everybody has questions. So guys, do you have anything you're chomping at the bit to know from Doug's perspective at this moment, or other threads you want to pull before we continue?
No, because everything I'm talking about is just that I'm thinking about, and I think, Doug, you want to keep it on wraps. It's just like, what other kinds of things are you building? Or like maybe it's kind of like for other Memecoin projects, like what can a Memecoin project do? I mean, you have like send company treasury funds like a multi-sig wallet, but like what can a Memecoin project do that can add validity in the eyes of investors, so that the people listening here, as they're looking and diving into meme coins, like what are some things, in your opinion, as a meme coin founder, that they can be looking for to be like, oh, hey, maybe this team cares more. Maybe they're here to build and stay, and it's not just like a rug pull looking to scam and all that kind of stuff.
So that's a good question. I don't have the best advice because it's so new, right? The memes are there. The best thing is like obviously do your research to see what's there. But the part now is like, oh, websites are so much easier to stand up, right? I think the best thing on that for any new meme or any meme is to go into their community, whether it be in Telegram or Discord, and check to see if there's active communication, if they're doing, voice chats, if the dev or at least someone who's the community takeover, lead, whoever it may be, is actively engaging. But it's still hard, right? Because you can't just say, well, what is their intent? Like, what are they looking to do with this project that's there? So ask questions, be curious, and gauge their answers as a way for you to, check the, hey, can I trust this project box or not? And I think that's the best way to do it. Just be curious, ask questions, because I love questions. I know I'm talking a lot here, but like, I love questions. I may not know the answer at the time, and I'll say that, but otherwise I'm going to give you an honest answer for what it is, because there's no reason not to. It just, for me and just in general, like why lying doesn't make sense, because you're always going to come back in a certain way. So I'd rather be honest, even if it's an answer that someone doesn't like, and just to move on, because that's the only way we can move forward, right? I don't want it to uncover things I said in the past, like this wasn't accurate, that was there. Like, no, I'm me, I wake up every day, I do my thing, and I'm just going to just say it how it is. That's it.
For some of our friends in the chat, I do want you to clarify just again, briefly, the infrastructure and your kind of step-by-step approach to setting it up. So first we had a question, in this context, what is a treasury? Can you go a little deeper to, where it lived at first, the money, and then how you moved it to a multi-signature wallet,
Sure.
as well as how you established communication infrastructure? You had mentioned a lot of it was very organic, but what did you do first? Did you start a Telegram group? How did you connect with people? Did you put a Twitter page up? Where, can you just quickly step by step some of that so people can see the logistics?
Well, all of those things happened without my I didn't know it's happened. Someone said Twitter. I think in going back, I thought someone had set up Telegram, but I ended up setting up Telegram. I don't remember doing that because I was in a state of just euphoria, blacked out, let's call it maybe.
Blacked out.
Yeah, exactly. So once that started going, having first the effective communication path, right, was just using Telegram on, hey, these are the announcements, pinning communications, at least giving an update once a week. Because we didn't move the funds over until probably 3 weeks in. But when I went to pump.fund, so if you go create a token, what you're doing is you connect your wallet, just like any other thing today, how you interact with a a swap mechanism, DeFi. You connect your wallet. I want to create a new token. You move some Solana over in this case onto the contract that the token you're creating. and I think in 2 wallets. And I bought more separately because, well, I know it was, I didn't have enough money in the wallet that I wanted to. Like, oh, this is moving, I'm going to buy some more. So I bought it from other wallets that were there. But again, I didn't know at the time that this was going to be that big. This is because it was right out. So there's more details too in the early part of this. Just a waste of time to go through my conversation with the folks at Telegram before I left to go to my parents' house for Easter. But regardless, this is still when it's like sub, 20,000 K levels.
Right.
But once it moved and things were there, it's like, well, hey, the bigger wallets, they need to like be accounted for. And because you could see it's like, oh, I had 40 million in one wallet and the 60 million tokens in the other. So we had to communicate and say, hey, these were the wallets, and just like this, like these are same process through video chat, going back to, we saved all of this stuff. I had bought through these wallets, and I want to show you that I'm demonstrating that I'm not going to sell, and we're going to send these to let's call it a community wallet, but it's a treasury. And what a treasury is, it's a new wallet on I don't know how to describe it. There are applications that act almost like vaults, it's a way of putting it in a place that everyone can see, although everyone can see your wallets. But it's a much more established application that's meant to be positioned as a vault that has mechanisms that can allow you to have other types of functionality within inside of that wallet. And the most important one is your multi-signature. So today, if I were to go buy a meme right now, and you get that, I hit buy, and that window pops up, and there's a transaction there. I'm approving that transaction. Let's call that a signature for me on that transaction. When it had all moved over into the vault, it was squads. We had set it up that there were 3 wallets that were associated with the approvers on that community one wallet that was there. We had designated that, hey, you need to have 2 of the 3 individuals have to approve it. And like I mentioned before, these individuals I didn't know prior to this, so that was our demonstration of, hey, this is how we're delegating authority, so not one person can basically screw over the entire project. So if we were to move a transaction, or say we were sending tokens to the community for a contest, whatever it may be, 2 of 3 of those individuals someone's got to go in and start the transaction. I can do a video one day and show how to do it. Like, hey, I want to send just like you would. I want to send tokens to this person. I put it through. That's the first signature. Someone else has to go through and approve that before it goes through. If they don't like it, they decline it, and it negates it altogether. So those mechanisms, putting them in place, was how we demonstrated trust early on. And I would encourage many other projects to do the exact same, because it's a good way to show where the balance of I don't want to say power, but where the bulk of the funds are and how they're being used for the benefit of the community as a whole.
And I want to be clear for anybody listening that this is one of those tools that crypto offers that can innovate the way we do things at a bank, or to verify votes on a blockchain, all kinds of things that can lend transparency, certainty, authenticity to a process we do now by integrating blockchain. It is, though, a pain in the butt. If you've got a multi-sig and there are like 3-5 people who are on it, and you are moving money all the time, and you get that late text that's like, hey man, need a signature.
Yeah.
That's such a pain.
Yeah.
So it'll be made better over time, but it's a cool little feature.
Yep. Yo, is that Daniel in the chat here? So Daniel Crypto's
Yeah,
good.
he said, can you give the Crypto's Good community a shout out? And I said, good sir, that'll be 2.5 Sol.
So other correction here too, by the way, Crypto's Good community, like I talked to Daniel years back, good dude, solid individual. The other Telegram I was in was one of his channels when he was making calls way back. And I actually put 99 cents in there too, so I don't want to forget that. But there was just a couple folks who I was talking ideas for when meme coins were getting big, and shared that was there. And then, and a lot of those folks are still around, which is great. But also a lot of left, which is fine. People got to do the thing and move around. So outside of that, I want to pick up where I left off. Okay, we're talking about the squads piece of the equation.
We're going to talk about some of your future plans.
Yeah. Okay. Too. So
and some of the things that you've done. I said I also would love to hear about Steepy Pete.
So the other best part about this is the people that I've met, and also the creative boom, let's call it, part of the equation. The amount of people I've met during this April, May timeframe was just unbelievable across the world. We're having live streams. I think at one point we had a voice chat or video chat with someone that was in Africa and Europe and myself. And it was just, I was in a supermarket actually buying Arizona iced tea as for part of something. I'm like, hey, we're live streaming across 3 continents right now. This would not have happened if, this whole thing just, didn't just accidentally come to life. But outside of that, met so many folks and good stories. And that was one of the themes too of the other project that I didn't mention, like that one day maybe comes to life, is storytelling is kind of lost, right? I think storytelling is something that will help us as a society come back to understand what it means to be human. So a lot of these stories I was hearing about, well, how did you find 99 cents? What happened? Met a lot of awesome people along the way. We had guys creating music. There was an individual, his name's Dion, out of California. He was in the late 90s, was involved with boy bands and like the music industry. And he was in real estate since then, I believe, and doing other things for our marketing brand side of the equation. He created a song. He said it was the first song he created in 20 years because he was so inspired by the project. It was good. We just put it out there. And like, that's just one example. And I got, animators, I got folks, just the creative aspect of things just coming to life was just so awesome. Out of nowhere, I'm like, wow, like people have, seen these types of talents across different mediums, which is just so fantastic. So with that said, we're like, I don't know where the idea of StPP came up, because I know early on this, when ChatGPT was still in its infancy and DALL-E maybe or had been integrated, but a lot of the early memes of like a can that had come to life. One of the folks who had been helping around the team side of the equation he's like, I have a friend who's, I met at the comic book store. I'm like, that's awesome. That's a cool story. Not many people say. He's an artist. And so he drew up Steepy Pete. That's the character that was there. And there's Steepy Pete.
Yeah, there he is.
And he's like our protagonist. He's the guy who's out there saying like, hey, he's anti-inflation. He's the one basically speaking up again, for the project in every way. And he's our spokesperson. Right. So, but Ryan Murphy, I'll give a shout out to him, was the one who created that. It was just, it kind of gave an identity to a project at the time that needed something that we kind of all rally upon. So Steepy Pete has its own Twitter account. We're doing a lot of things with Steepy Pete. But a good part with that is we actually ended up meeting a company called Meme Deck. Meme Deck, if you want to pull that up, Alex, too, Evan, if you're right there, is memedeck.xyz. They are and this kind of segue into where we're going. They are kind of talk about memetics. They're building memes around community. It's like a community up. It's like a bottom up approach, kind of a basic large language model. Doesn't have a lot of fine tuning built in, but the idea is to put your character in there, and then your community can create memes around it. And we actually just hit a threshold, which I got to call out. On the right there, you can see characters up top. I don't know if you can see characters, Evan, on the right there. You can see. I got to go to the website. On the website, it's an app.
Oh, okay.
It may not let you do it, but there's characters on the right. And so the Steepy Pete character page, we just crossed over 5,000 memes. So 5,000 memes have been created from this site. And the benefit of the site is you don't have to know anything about programming or how to write prompting. It's just that the mascot's built in. You click on it for the community, and then you just type in, I want Steepy Pete.
Steepy Pete is currently #1 this week.
Yeah, we got some guys in the community who constantly put things out. But if you click on that page, it should be able to show you all of the memes. It lets you do it without connecting your account. It's probably going to prompt you to do that. But there's 5,000 memes there of all the memes that people have created over time. And it's just awesome to see how this thing came to life. And also, too, we have a conversation with Ryan, because this was like hey, well, someone created this, they drew it. Like, how does that person feel about this all of a sudden now being just thrown into Gen AI and it's just like being its own thing? And he was a champ. He was Chad, like going through it, understanding, like he was all on board with it. But just that whole dynamic of something coming from pencil to now going to this, which they're going down videos. They want to create like almost like the Marvel universe of memes. Shout out to them. So that's StPP has taken us here, and it's going much, much further. And also StPP2 interaction with Arizona Iced Tea is a whole different conversation. The company, Arizona Iced Tea, which we have time, we can talk about that later. They are aware that we exist. I'll put that out there. They know that we are a thing and that we are good vibes, and we're just operating in the same space they are. And in essence, a way for free marketing for them right now. But that's a thing that's there. Yeah.
Those humanoid Steepy Pete's are very unsettling.
Yeah, some are creepy.
I had to turn it off. I was like, whoa.
Oh yeah, some are weird. Some are weird. Yeah, some are weird.
Cool, it's Steepy Pete.
But yeah, so our message now. Sorry. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the whole thing with this, and I know I'm talking a lot here, is that my reflection of what this whole thing is, for me as a problem solver, builder in the real world, strategist, consultant, like I like solving problems, but I'm realizing like, hey, the problems that I had to solve or we had to solve as a community, those are probably common problems that every other meme project has to have. Whether it be an actual dev of an existing project or a new project, whether it be a community takeover. For those who don't know, that's when likely a dev does something unfavorable and sells and rugs and runs away, but all of a sudden the community is like, hey, this is still awesome. Let's be here. Let's make something of it. There usually is folks who are kind of like the community lead or kind of driving things. They also have problems to solve, whether that be, and they're the two main problems. One, how can people trust us? And two, how can we create content and keep the community active, right? So on just those two notes alone, those are things that we had to solve. So one other partnership I have to mention is called Quora. Quora is they are primary focus on real world assets, insurance, and tokenization of RWAs, and they're more out of Australia. Great guy. Actually met the CEO talking about Lego actually. So it's side.
And how do you spell it?
Q. I can't say Q. QUO. Oh my gosh, I always Q.
We got the Q for sure.
QORRA.io. I know that. I don't know why I did not know off the top of my head. And they are so anyway, they were building their brand. They have a large team. I talked to the guy about his saying his brother back in the day were collecting Legos. He was looking for a piece from a Lego set from the 80s. And we actually had it at one point. I didn't have it. I was going to send it to him just to be awesome. But we made a connection, and they said they are starting to move into or have an ancillary play into the meme world on establishing trust there and certifying memes, almost like I don't say Moody's or Standard & Poor's, but something on like a certification of their existence and looking at their own kind of data.
Credential.
So credential, that's the best way to say it, right? And I don't want to go too far down that path of how they're doing it and how they're communicating what they do, but that's how, we like low key put it out there that we're like the first certified meme on Solana in this regards. But the reason I'm bringing this up is like that's our other way of showing trust, right? Outside the Squads wallet or the multi-sig, and then going to this, it's another demonstration of trust. And me speaking like this, demonstration of trust. So for us, looking at it, well, hey, if we had to solve these problems, everyone else has to solve those as well. So right now, for the remainder of the year, and this is the end of 2024, our main focus is getting to a point where I have repeatable processes that's a foundation of a presence that we are in Web3. And that's going to be that we are almost a funnel mechanism of new projects that want to come through to go onto our very soon podcast. We had one early on. We did it for 12 weeks in a row, which was great. It was your 99 cents. It's a mindset, because right now this is my 99 cents. Was that 2 cents? See that? So we're going to redo that and build the brand around it, but ideally bring new projects onto that show, have them talk about the projects like you guys are doing here. Thank you very much for having me. And then giving them opportunities to partner with our partners, right? Just to give them that kind of funnel mechanism as leads to those partnerships through certification and then through Meme Deck, which will help them basically give opportunity for their community to create memes and keep them active. They're rolling out contests soon. So we're doing a lot of building with Meme Deck. Those guys are fantastic. And also talking to Quora about possible opportunities too on expanding inside the meme world. So as of right now, I want to solidify ourselves as a meme to meme type service, like instead of a B2B, business to business, meme to meme. It doesn't have to be a meme project, but enabling them with the tools and the resources and the partners that can help them grow, either from scratch or they're coming from the floor up. Once we get that going and have it repeatable come to 2025, then all of a sudden are the big ideas, the actual taking risks, like real tokenomics come into play and things like that. And I don't want to talk about them right now because it's a whole other thing, but it's focusing on those pieces, because then I know, hey, if we take small risk in 2025 and let's say something doesn't work out or we have to pivot, it doesn't matter because we have that foundation set that we are basically becoming a platform for awareness and education, just like you guys are too. Everyone should be looking for educators like these three individuals, because they're not trying to sell you anything. They're here just to help you learn, because those are the folks you need to find early on in your Web3 world of exploration. So that's kind of where I want to position ourselves, and also to find co-hosts and just continue the vibe regardless of what happens with the markets. It could be a bear market, bull market, doesn't matter. We're still going to be there because we're not promising anything, and right now we're only promising education and awareness and support. That's for the short term, for the remainder of the year.
Doug, I think this is an
We had a
interesting
question in the chat. What's in it for your partners? And I think they specifically mean, is
so
building relationships.
Quora is trying to build a network too of certified projects. So there's also revenue opportunities for them associated with it. But if they get a new project, I don't know the details of how you get certified and the mechanisms there for they do an instance of branding too for you. Leads to them. So I want to qualify leads to them for one, and two, for Meme Deck, they want more users. And I can't say too much about why they want that, but they wanted to grow the platform just like anyone else, right? So they want more users. So if I could be a mechanism to funnel projects and communities to them through putting our community to work too, which I didn't talk about, is having folks become part of that process of, hey, someone to manage the leads, the input, the intake for getting a backlog of projects to go onto the show. The ones of, hey, they've gone through the show. What's the handoff process look like after to get them, let's say Quora needs these 5 metrics that are on chain they want to have already pre-made available. Well, I have some analytics folks that can do that. Or meme deck, these are the types of graphics they need to upload into their tool. So I want to make it easier for our partners to onboard more projects by putting our community to work to be those vessels between there. But really, to answer that question, is they just want more projects to be part of their platform.
So Doug, unless Evan, you had a direct follow-up question to that. So Doug, I want to ask you the question put up by Crypto Machine, or more like a topic. With you as a Memecoin founder, what is your take on the stance that, is the crypto market too focused on meme coins this cycle? Since the inherent nature of meme coins isn't to really provide a service towards a industry, or and they inherently are not doing. They don't have a use case that they're trying to help with. You know what I mean? So what's your opinion on the crypto market being focused too much, air quotes, on memes, and your general take on that thought process, or that thought in the space, which is also kind of going to a even more bearish stance on memes, with the sense that the reason why this cycle has been ruined, and I've seen this in comment section, the reason why this cycle has been ruined is because meme coins have taken all the liquidity. That's another common trend that's been iterated over the past number of months. So I'm curious to get your topic or your thoughts on those kinds of topics.
So right now, beams are not good for the space at all. They are not, because of the ease of scamming, and that's the problem. Where it's hey, at the time when we launched, there were 20,000 memes being created a day on Pump.fun. 19,991 of those are rugs, where they're basically there to get you to buy in and then sell and then walk away with your money. It's that, and I want to say there's 3-4 million tokens that have been created since then. That is not helpful to a space that needs to bring on new users and needs to have them have a reason to stay and not just lose all their money the first week they got in there because someone scammed them. And also it feels horrible, right? So bigger projects, rugging, let's say that's not actual projects, that's few and far between. I'm talking about the ones that have been around for 3-4 years, 5 years, have obviously there's a Lunas of the world and things like that. Those are different, but for the most part, they are trying to emulate, hey, we're trying to do something. We have a purpose that's actually tech-based, right? So got to weed those out too. But meme coins, there were nothing besides, hey, it's the get-rich-quick opportunity. So sure, you could say, hey, that's a helping for the awareness of crypto for normies and new folks to understand that's here, that's fun, but it's not, the state that they are right now is not helpful for anyone. So I'm banking on that memes will evolve just like anything else, and NFTs, I think, are trying to figure out what their next purpose is, like they have purpose. I think memes are going to evolve. There's going to be a next wave of expectations of what memes are, because I believe they're going to represent more than just the meme and the dollar amount associated with it. It's well, what is the culture behind it? What is their mission? What's their why are they unified around whatever the object character is? Are they trying to be an advocate for something? And because of the virality and speed of how they work, I would say most large companies want to have a meme associated with it. If they can somehow make sure they're not going to get screwed by having that. But it's right now, to answer your question, well, it's not good for the space right now at all. So I'm trying to say, for us, we just need to survive. And we need to be in existence. So when that time comes, whether it be next month, whether it be middle of next year, that we're still here and putting out our values, which a lot are very aligned to Arizona Iced Tea, which, by the way, got super lucky that we picked a project or a company to, embrace, where the CEO is a Chad, different conversation, different day, private company, actually cares about the people, doesn't raise the price, just was super blessed to get that versus Costco or a public company, the different conversation. So that's a whole different story. But I think that meme coins are going to become a new go-to-market strategy when used properly, not just for monetary gain. I think right now we're trying to figure out, well, what is that? Where can meme coins, yield utility? Even if that utility is community, that's fine. but making sure there are things in place that it's not there to harm the community. I think that's where the evolution we're going through right now, and that paradigm, which will play out for the next, year or so.
This is something we talk a lot about on the show, and I want to invite the folks to comment because there are a few questions in the chat. How can memes, which are essentially useless, do anything? Memes and utility in the same sentence? Memes, value, what, how? And I would love to hear everyone's feedback on conversations about specifically memes as a vehicle. Like, tokens are a whole new medium, just like language, just like TikTok videos, just like art. And what they do is they give velocity. They make it easier and faster and cheaper for people to scale ideas. The cool thing about people is that we can talk to each other and build things that are bigger than any one of us, and build things that didn't, until we thought of them, have any existence in the natural world. 99 cents, that doesn't mean anything to the birds and the owls and the trees. But what gives the idea life in the world is every instance of Steepy Pete online, every time Doug comes on to talk about it, every token that is held by another person. And so, while right now, like Doug points out, it's a zero-sum PvP thing, there are probably many opportunities, and this is what I'd love for you guys to comment on what you think memes and memes attached to tokens as a vehicle for them, can do for culture as a product, can do for the connection of people. What would you add to that? Because I feel like we're all pretty much in agreement that memetics are extremely valuable and will be for crypto.
Well, when you say memetics, what do you mean by that?
I mean the art and science of memes, not just funny cat pictures, but instantly relatable, easy to share ideas that can quickly achieve virality.
Sure. So what I'll say on all of this is, and I look at all of this as an investor, I look at memes as like fun. If, like that's what a good solid run meme coin project is, just fun to me. It's not necessarily something, nor would it ever for me be something that I would be looking to like invest in, maybe like flip and trade and stuff, because memes are super volatile. They're great to trade. But like I look at memes and like you can look at Dogecoin, right? Like Dogecoin is the prime example of, it was the first ever example where like a market cap was associated to a meme and a culture started putting a price tag on a meme, right? It's the first ever example of that. And now Doge is too big to fail, kind of like SHIB and your other like really, really, really big like decentralized meme coins, right? So once you get to a point with a meme coin where it actually is decentralized, the ability for it to rug pull is absolutely zero, all of that, it's a popular meme, then you can be like, okay, cool, like culture has put a price tag on this meme. And if you want to invest in something, you can. For me though, just personally, as I think about memes as an investor, I need a real world pain point that is being solved. That's for me as an investor. Other people can, if you want to invest in culture, that's fine, because there is value in culture. There is a dollar sign associated to the IP of every character that is owned by Warner Brothers, to every character that's owned by Marvel, to every character that's owned by Disney. There are actual dollar signs associated to the value of that IP. And a meme coin, when it gets to the size of like a Dogecoin, is the same thing, just being done in a decentralized manner as opposed to a centralized marketing manner through those companies, right? And there is something valuable in that. Investing in a Marvel IP or a Disney IP or a Warner Brothers IP is something that is valuable. There isn't an argument against that, but the overarching opinion that you should take towards any investment, not just meme coins, but meme coins particularly more so in my opinion, is you have to let them prove themselves that they can get to that point. Like, Doug seems to be doing all the right things, but, Doug, your 99 cents isn't at that point yet, right?
Correct.
It's not at that point yet where 99 cents and Doug's teams and efforts has proven to, in my opinion, an investor to be able to be like, okay, cool, like, let's do this. You're doing way more than anybody out there. You're putting in the work, you're doing all the right stuff. But as far as meme coins go, from like an investment, as opposed to just trading, quick flipping and all that kind of stuff, and making sure you're de-risking away from the slot machine in the casino that is the meme coin casino, is you have to let the meme coin get so big and decentralized to the point where you can trust, okay, this is the culture assigning this IP dollars, and you can trust that it's going to stick around, right? Those are just kind of like my general thoughts on this. Evan, I know it wasn't exactly the question that you asked, but I wanted to expand
real
on
quick,
that.
I want to add what you just said. So like spot on everything, and I agree. And I also say too, when anyone talks, like when I talk about 99 cents, I will never say come buy our token. I will say, hey, come stop by our community and just see what's going on. Ask questions.
For the record,
and
you don't because that's a crime.
Yes, exactly.
Also
Thank you.
crime.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, there's no benefit to doing that, right? Because then it's all of a sudden also too, it's like expectations are there, things like that. So it's just like, hey, question everything. Be curious. Ask questions that are there, right? And I think that's to me, and I'll stop with this, is that because there are very few projects doing this, it's a competitive advantage. Because everything sucks, just like saying, hey, I'm showing up to work each day is the best value prop I have for the moment, and the community is still present. We're doing things. Now that will evolve, but that is, to me, it's like from a business standpoint, looking for from a market intelligence standpoint, competitive intelligence, you want to look for those areas where it's like, hey, everyone's doing this thing, which is not favorable to the ecosystem. Maybe do something else, like try to go down that path. So that to me is, let's go down that other path. Don't know all the answers yet, but just trying to evolve things and make progress forward. And hey, others want to come on this journey with us too. Now all of a sudden, maybe there's a different narrative, which going back to your point earlier, about the meme coins in general, there's no narratives anymore. They all died. All the narratives died. Like they're kind of your D pins, all the things that would have been great last bull run have kind of faded out because meme coins have taken that presence and all the liquidity. So there's no real narratives. Like they're there, but they're kind of low key under the radar. When those more narratives start coming back, you'd expect more liquidity to move and those markets to move.
Yeah.
Now, this is a killer conversation, but I'm wondering because, Doug, I know you have a hard stop in about 15 minutes. And there are a couple of questions I'd like to ask about, just so people can follow up and connect with you. Is it okay if we move on from this? I feel like this is something we're all going to need to make videos about. I certainly am going to have to make a video talking about memetics and the properties that influence them here, because this is a much bigger.
One final thing that's like 2 sentences long. It's just that looking at all memes as a scam for forever. Doug used a word over and over called evolving. If you go and look at the .com bubble burst, so many of those were scams. It was new technology. This meme coin explosion is pretty new. It could evolve into something that's genuinely useful. So I would say be skeptical, but again, let it prove to you that there's value. So I just wanted to say.
Memetics is literally a study of evolution.
Mm-hmm. But it was
coined by Darwin.
It's worth noting that I know we have an influx of people who haven't been with us before that are popping into the chat right now. Like, I want to make a couple things just abundantly clear. There is a very valid reason, right, that memes have the reputation that they have. And there's a couple important distinctions that just simply need to be made, or it would be just straight up disingenuous from a reporting context. So ultimately, what you have, if you look at this entire thing, right, is the ability to monetize cultural trends and phenomena. But the problem is that people don't seem to make the connection between the fact that we've had this as long as the internet has existed. There have been things that trended, but people never think about how rapidly, aggressively, and often unexpectedly they just die when the new funny thing comes onto the stage. This is the same thing, except now people are attaching their money to it and expecting it to behave differently than the way internet culture has behaved forever. So the problem here, because Doug, of course, this is all open information, anybody can look. The chart for this meme that Doug is talking about here, that by all accounts was done legally, compliantly, and appropriately, is still, from its peak, about, 97%?
Yes. It's the most organic chart you could find in crypto, by the way. I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So, all natural.
but this is my point, right? Yep. If you take memes as a category, and you take all of them, especially the celebrity launched memes, the influencer launched memes, or the majorly trending memes, every price chart looks the same. There is a rip straight up, and then there's the realization that this might be funny, it might be topical, it might be culturally relevant right now. Is it worth $200 million? Absolutely fucking not. And so then the realization sets in, and of course people have made a tremendous amount of money when we're sitting here. They get out, and then there's just no reason to continue for the most part. So you see a rapid decline, and then you enter the pit of despair, where now the struggle ensues. And we're trying to, the evolution of internet culture here is like, okay, how, if it's possible, can one evolve an internet trend, which is by its very nature and has been since the beginning of internet trends, been a fleeting flash in the pan kind of thing? Think about, take anything, the Hawk Tuah girl, right? Like that was everywhere. The looking for a man in finance was everywhere. If you go to anything that those poor people do right now, every comment on those videos is your 15 minutes is up, go home, right? Because that's just the way that internet trends work. So just when you're talking and thinking about this kind of stuff, realize that we are monetizing culture, but the velocity is such that it is incredibly easy to use this tool exclusively to steal money from people. Yep. There are almost no rails to protect people who have no clue what they're doing from making the worst financial decision they've ever made when getting involved with this kind of stuff, which is why Doug has been so careful to talk about it the way that he is talking about it, because the thing that I personally believe needs to happen is that the hammer needs to fall hard and fast, and people need to go to prison for a long time.
Yes, 100%.
So
and I hope something do already too, from the ones that already happened.
Take that for what it's worth. Injective to your questions and your skeptics and your criticisms here. Super based, very valid. I encourage you to create content on platforms like TikTok that expose crypto scams. We need more of it. There's way too many crypto content creators on TikTok that focus exclusively on promoting scams, and they make good money doing it. They're very incentivized to continue.
Interesting you just say that.
Right now, there is a need for that service. So if you're feeling at all inclined, let us know. We would love to help amplify you getting started on that mission. You're in the right place.
So on that note, sorry for forget on the exposing scams. Sorry to interrupt you. Like spot on, I agree 100%. I actually found I'm not on Facebook. I got rid of Facebook years ago. Seeing scams evolve there too is a whole different thing, and like it's sad in many ways for my parents, things like that. But where I'm bringing this up is that during the early days of like when, for me as a dev, there are other types of scams that are to devs. And like I documented a lot of these things way back when. Now a lot of these trends are not there, but just understanding like how I'm trying to get someone trying to exploit me for certain things that would be educational material for a developer who has good intent that's there. But there's just so many different facets of the different perspectives of where those scams are, but also the scams evolve. Like now with AI, the things that we can do, it's unfortunately get faster and faster, and you have to stay alert of what these are, but at the same time find effective creators or mechanisms to understand what those scams are and the ones that are currently present that you should be looking out for. So I agree, Alex, that there needs to be a lot of attention around that, or a mechanism to at least centralize all that knowledge so that people are aware of, hey, these are things I should look out for today. These are things I should tell my parents to look out for today, friends, family, especially ones who are coming to crypto.
We can think about it kind of like the evolution of the casino, right? In a place where, at one point there were not a ton of regulations to protect people from getting hosed with gambling. And it's still very possible, of course, to make a dumbass decision. But at least in order to do that, you have to go through several rails, like taking money, walking into a facility that has legal gambling, making the decision to like sit down at a table and play a game with your money, and then know that no one on earth will feel bad for you if you get hosed after dropping a shitload of money into a slot machine and getting whacked, because that is expected. And so the thing that needs to shift is the breaking the expectation that some people have that like, oh, because this meme is special, that's like saying my slot machine is special. Yep. It doesn't mean jack shit. Yep. And you're just fooling yourself into thinking you're not going to get hosed like everybody else.
Yeah, true. Well, hey, Evan, I know there's a few other things you wanted to cover. We only have about 10 minutes left. So what are some of those items?
Really, I just want to say, in that sum up the conversation, one more quick pitch of future plans, how folks can get involved if they want to learn more. And then if you have any asks for folks, we've been talking with Doug, a friend of ours, the founder of 99 Cents. And we'll have this, as well as all of our episodes, up on the YouTube show later. If you're not in the Discord community, you want to jump in there too. All of our links, they can be found at theRiseUpMorningShow.com. Join us in there for free. Get connected. We'll follow up with you in those channels so that you can get these resources. But Doug, the floor is yours. Thank you for joining us. What's next? What asks do you have, and how can people join you?
So what's next is that we're still here. I'm on day, I think you keep track for a while, day like 160 something of when this meme, accidentally launched, and still showing up every day to say hi to the community, say goodnight, and saying this is what we're doing this week. So for right now, we are on a mission to prove our existence and reason to still be a thing inside this evolving meme space, and to demonstrate trust through education and bringing awareness to other projects who are looking to do the same thing and helping support them and in growth. That's our plan for the next for the remainder of the year, and I'll tap into maybe something for next year. But so that's that. And if you want, you can join. I'm getting on my profile is my Twitter link, which on my Twitter profile itself is a link to 99 cents. I'm going to try here really quick, see if I can put this ping in this chat.
I got you.
Do it. There's links. Let's see if I can do this. I have my other character who's still new here. Let's see, group type, links. See if this works. Is that going to work here? Also, let me put a Telegram link in the chat here. So Rex Enzo just put a Telegram. That's a link to the Telegram in there. If it's going to work or not. He's our second character.
Come through, and I was just deleting it, so you stopped me right before I hit the delete button.
So that's another character. That's our second character. That's Rex Enzo. He is a quant trader. He actually has a trading channel that's new into Telegram. He's evolving. He hasn't really come to life yet like CP has, but just a plug for a future world. I think one thing that's a challenging Web3 is that a lot of these communities are very focused on a given thing. Right. Well, hey, there's a Discord for trading. There's a Discord for music. And I think it's hard to find a balancing act of all the different types of creators that are needed so you can, relate to someone. So with her on this idea of, let's call it the 6-pack, where right now we have 2 cans. We have Sleepy Pete and Rex Enzo, that over time we're going to add 4 more. And those are going to be different personas. I want to have a writer. I want to maybe have a musician. I want to have different characters that come to life that basically can represent different types of communities, but also to interact with each other. So the 6-pack themselves is their own little world inside of a Marvel meme universe that they operate in their own ways, but also too can represent other aspects of creators and skills that they can resonate with. So it's not just you come in to talk about just one thing. There's different elements and good balance, because any community has to have a good balance of different types of minds to grow, in my opinion. So that's one of the fun things we're doing over time. But right now it's other to Sleepy Pete and Rex Enzo.
Is this person who's in the Twitter comments, Don Voltaggio 99, actually?
No, it's
it's a parody.
No, it's one of the community guys, but he's one of. So I'll leave with this too on this note. So Arizona Beverages, when this started happening, everyone was like, "Doug, when are you going to reach out to? When are you going to reach out to Arizona? They need to know about this. They need to buy and things." I'm like, they don't care about us. Me approaching them is not a good scenario, because all of a sudden they just say, "Hey, we're cease and desist. You guys are done." And everyone's like, "Oh, that's good. That'd be bullish." I'm like, "Hey, if they did that, this guy's out. Like, I'm out. Maybe bullish for the project, but I'm not here to start creating a battle with a multi-billion-dollar company because I actually created an internet token, Memecoin." With that said, we just kind of let it play out, and over time, early on, where memes were flowing like crazy, they used a bunch of our memes. They took them and they posted it. And to me, I'm like, hey, they're like, "Oh, they're stealing our memes." Like, no, this is good. This is their acknowledgement that we are here. They could take our memes all they want. And it's kind of it was kind of fun acknowledgement that we're here. Their actual Twitter account, they have a very good Twitter account. They're very active, and they've started to demonstrate that they have intent of being in Web3. Recently, they had their partnership announcement with Doodles, which I actually don't have the box here. I bought a bunch of cases of the Doodle Arizona iced teas. The father, Don, is a goat. He was on all of these, CNBC, Bloomberg, all news stations the whole summer talking about, hey, we haven't raised the price. Because why? He's like, why should we raise the price? We're doing well. We're doing fine. We own a lot of things. We don't have a lot of debt. So let's keep the price low for consumers. Yeah. So that was, it was so blessed to be part of at least being in their aura. And I'll leave with this it was probably May. Have you seen the meme? That's the two arms, the two muscles, right? That the two.
Oh yeah, over there.
Yeah. So I'm not going to find it really quick, but there was a time when they Arizona Beverages tweeted, they had the two arms. The one arm was Arizona iced tea, and the right one was Costco hot dog, Costco, and it's on top protecting your wallets. So I was like, whoa, like, so they know we're here. They acknowledge Costco too. So, and like my mind, like, hey, they're talking to a external audience too, because both companies are anti-inflation. They don't raise their prices, but that's a nod of like, hey, protecting your wallets, the Web3 thing. So immediately I told my girlfriend, like, we're getting in the car, we're going to Costco, we're going to buy a hot dog, we're doing a photo op. So there's pictures I can find on Twitter, which is like, and the sunset was perfect too, where I put the hot dog on. I bought the hot dog. I don't have a Costco card, so I'm going. I'm like, I need to go get a hot dog. It's all I want is a hot dog. Please let me in. Thankfully, the guy let us in. But I came out, put the hot dog and the Arizona iced tea on top of my car, and took a picture of the sunset, and then tagged Costco. It's like it was perfect.
Yeah.
You know, it was cool. And like to me, like that was acknowledgement of our existence. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. So. Yeah. Lots of opportunities, and to me, like I'm a problem solver. I just like, and this to me was a gift. And when I say I started, this was an accident. It was, but now it's turned into a gift. I'm embracing the unexpected. We have a community, we have partners, we have a presence. So a lot of these things in the past of ideas of things bringing to Web3 are now going to come to life, and a lot of them, I'd say, the themes are around education and knowledge. Because to me, that's what the most important thing that's needed for this space to grow. And obviously you guys are very much big advocates of that and showing up here every day doing that exact thing. So the more of us who are doing that will benefit us all in the long run.
Yeah.
Well said. Make you trust the new meta.
Also, guys, I want to say the chat started off great and then started really just being like trash throwing at some of you guys. There were some like, not at you, Doug, but
whatever. Guys,
I know that the people, I'm not going to say your names, but you guys have been commenting for a while. You guys engage with us, which is great. But if this kind of commenting continues, there will be penalties. Okay, guys.
Let's cool the antagonism. Yeah.
Let's cool the antagonism. Come down. We're all a part of the same community. We're all here to learn and help each other. Okay, guys.
Facts.
Guys, with that, we're just about out of time here.
You want to give a quick overview?
You guys have a few final little thoughts? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, give us the links, man. Where one more time are the links that people can use to find 99 cents?
My Twitter account, which is found on my profile on TikTok. Go there. Then the profile on Twitter has a link to 99 cents, and then all the links for our community, everything that's there. And I want everyone to remember too, the price is actually on the can. It's there. It's on this can. It's on all of them. So anyway.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you so much, Doug, for making time
thank you
for
guys.
us today.
I'm glad I came across you guys, and I'm excited to continue building these relationships out, and just to not talk about 99 cents all the time, but just in general, trying to add value to the space.
Yeah, we
I gotta run. You guys have a great day.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate the time, guys.
Thank you.
We'll take us home, man.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the positive comments. And if you guys aren't involved in the Discord, you want to get access to the links when we have hosts up talking about their projects, or you want to get in touch with their Twitter pages, their TikTok pages, all of that, links will be in the Discord. The Discord is free to join. You can find it on the links on all of our profile pages. You can also find it at the riseupmorningshow.com. Hop into the Discord, become part of the community, and find a good group of people who are genuinely trying to help you and not grift off of you and take your money. So, love to have you guys here. Thank you for the time. Have a great rest of your day. Make a bunch of money. Be careful in the markets. Take care, everybody.
Rise up. See you soon.